McKellar visits the AOTS studios to tell Rob Delaney about playing a Martian on Young Justice and her new book. Then, because you demanded it, Nat Myra rates the brand new MacBook Pro. It has a Retina display that boasts 4 times the pixels of the previous model. But you better watch this before you buy. And we'll take a look at the career of celebrated artist Jim Mahfood. This prolific muralist and comic book creator's work includes Clerks the comic book, The X-Men, and Stupid Comics. Plus, we've got all the big Microsoft news from the Surface tablet to the Windows 8 phone in the feed. And Weston Scott will get his hands on the biggest movie guns of the summer when he visits the weapons masters at ISS. Time to blow stuff up! It's Attack!
It's been good. I'm glad to be wearing pants again on this episode. Yesterday,
yeah, it's nice to have you in pants today.
No trousers for one of the segments yesterday.
Did you get any funny responses for that, or?
Yes, a lot of people were I don't know if I want to call them complaints or compliments, but a lot of people talking about the rich muscularity of my thighs and the hair. One woman said, "Hey Rob, skin is not pants," which I thought was funny.
That's awesome.
What are you up to this weekend?
I don't know, but I really want to get a friend and go on a tandem bike and just ride around.
I have a tandem bike, and what I'll do, I'll ride around by myself, though, with nobody else, and then I'll ride up to little kids, and I'll be like, "Have you seen my wife?" And then they cry, and then I have fun.
That's horrible.
My name is Jim Mahfood, aka Food One, and I am a freelance artist.
Jim Mahfood, also known as Food One, is one of the most well-known talents in today's art scene.
Hey, what's up, man? Welcome.
His work has been featured everywhere from comic books to beer cans and everything in between. So how does this Midwestern kid from St. Louis go from self-publishing his comics to becoming one of the most prominent artists working in any medium today?
Growing up, I kind of got into comic books and animation and that kind of culture very early on, and started drawing very early on, so it always stuck with me. And then by the time I, got to like junior high or high school and realized that I was really serious about this art thing.
Jim was so serious about his craft that he enrolled at the Kansas City Art Institute and began self-publishing his own work under the label 40 Ounce Comics.
I formed 40 Ounce Comics with my friend, this guy named Mike Huddleston, in 1993 when I first got to Kansas City. None of the major companies were hiring us. After dealing with rejection for so long or whatever, we eventually were just like, screw it, let's just start doing our own stuff.
Check me out, y'all.
From the start, it was obvious that Jim had an incredibly unique style that was influenced by everything from 80s cartoons to the world of hip-hop. It wasn't long before he got his first big break when he was tasked with creating a comic for Marvel's Generation X series.
The Generation X Underground special with Marvel came about, and the idea was for me to just do like a Generation X annual for that year under the X-Men department of titles, and they let me write it, pencil, ink it, and letter it, which was completely bizarre. I don't think it would ever happen again today.
The book was immediately recognized for its subversive narrative and distinctive style, and brought Jim his first taste of critical and commercial success. It also caught the eye of filmmaker and comic book geek Kevin Smith. The Clerks creator was so enamored with Jim's work that he handpicked him to do the artwork for the comic book adaptation of the film.
I'm not even supposed to be here today!
Oh, you.
Food One quickly gained recognition as one of the best young talents in the comic industry and started working on high-profile franchises like Spider-Man and X-Men. But he still needed a home to tell his own stories, so in 2001, he linked up with Image Comics and published a number of acclaimed series like Stupid Comics and Girl Scouts.
The thing that I like so much about working with them is it's almost like self-publishing, where you pitch them the project you want to do. If they say yes, you sort of just make the project on your own, uninterrupted. I like that pressure, and I like the freedom, and I usually produce my best work when I'm completely left alone.
Jim decided to expand his Food One empire after he was approached by Colt 45 to help launch a new ad campaign. It was a huge success, and it became clear that Jim's style lent itself to more than just the page. He was commissioned to do more commercial work for companies like Nissan and Bedhead.
And the commercial stuff, it keeps me on my toes, because when you get a template for a car or a Bedhead hair product or a can of beer, you're forced to think of how is this imagery going to work on this template. It's a different mindset, but I like being able to switch back and forth.
But his mainstream success doesn't mean he'll be abandoning his comic book roots anytime soon. He created an online strip a few years ago called Los Angeles Inkstains that he still publishes every few weeks for free on his website.
I like the webcomic format. You just draw it, put it up, it's on the internet, people can read it at their leisure. The comics themselves are a celebration of enjoying life, having a good time, hanging out with your friends, making art, traveling, eating good food, having a strong drink, and documenting this weird, surreal sort of freelance lifestyle.
On top of that, he recently finished doing the art for the new Tank Girl project and is currently doing an animated show for MTV called Disco Destroyer.
Long term, I always see things evolving. So like the MTV cartoon is a perfect example of like the next step. Improving my style, letting it evolve, but always still having one foot in like the stuff I love. Like I truly love the medium of comic books. I think it's one of the purest art forms there's ever been. But at the same time, having other projects that kind of elevate the art. You can't be stagnant, or you'll get boring and your stuff will suffer, it will die. So I'm always about moving forward and kind of, knocking down barriers and seeing what happens.
Wherever the next evolution of his art takes him, you can guarantee we'll be keeping a close eye on Jim Mahfood and his one-of-a-kind voice.
Break it down like this. Hi, this is Josh Flaum, script consultant on Attack of the Show. Coming up on Gadgetron, Apple's new MacBook Pro is so thin, Rob Delaney and Matt Myra are starting to worry. Stay tuned to see if it starves to death.
Videos of the week.
First up, here's what happens when you take an elderly church choir and add a pinch of Nelly's steamy ode to stripping, hot in here.
It's getting hot in here, so take off all your robes.
I'm getting so hot, I will take my robe off.
It's getting hot in here, so take off all your robes.
I am getting so hot, I will take my robe off.
You know, that's the most old people I've seen take their clothes off since I put a camera in my grandma's nursing home locker room.
When there was only one set of footprints, I left you because you were being gross.
Understood?
This next video showcases the worst idea of the week.
Here's a really special approach to crossing the train tracks.
This guy's under a train. Brad, you're I know, but I'm gonna die. Brad, you're gonna die. You're underneath the train.
Yo, man, I'm bleeding, man.
What?
I'm bleeding.
You're bleeding? Chuck that to me. Now, chuck it to me. You got time to roll up between wheels. Next one, not that one. No. All right, now. Hurry up, man. Oh my, dude.
Why? That was terrifying.
You know, I've heard of being from the wrong side of the tracks, but they usually don't mean between the tracks. I thought it meant being from, like, Detroit or something.
And the funniest video of the week was produced by Jess.com.
They proved that as dumb as newscasters are, people from your town are even dumber.
Hi, we're here in New York City today to prove that people will believe anything you say if you look like a newsman and are holding a microphone.
Earlier this week, President Obama fired the U.S. Senate. What do you think about that?
I actually hadn't even heard that.
No?
Embarrassingly enough.
Germany invaded Poland earlier today. Do you think America should get involved?
I almost want to say no. It's so early on. Those are two very powerful countries.
Chinese internet usage, if it continues to grow at its current rate, the world will experience a worldwide shortage of internet by the year 2025. What do you think about that?
That's a big problem. I think we definitely, America especially, is really behind in terms of internet speed.
So you think we could be doing more?
I think we need to be doing more.
That just proves it. Ignorance is bliss.
I think you meant to say bliss.
Ew, gross, Rob. Stop talking about your penis.
No. Apple just unveiled a new MacBook Pro because they want me to be poor forever.
Yes. And now Matt Myra will rate it.
Apple just released their next generation MacBook Pro and it's thinner than ever. It features a Retina display with 4 times the pixels as the previous model, and it's running Intel's latest Core i7 Ivy Bridge processors. This new laptop can be yours starting at $2,200.
Welcome back, Matt Myra.
Thanks, tall, handsome guy.
You know, this is my first ever gadget prawn, so please be gentle on me, yet continue to gaze at me in that longing fashion.
Very handsome.
So the MacBook Pro that you've already fallen in love with just got a lot slimmer and easier to look at. It's the new MacBook Pro with eyeball melting Retina display.
Yeah, this is it. This is the thing we were all sort of waiting for and expecting Apple to do. First thing you'll notice is the slimmer design. Take a look at this thing. Apple did a great job taking the design from the previous MacBook Pro, which I feel like America agreed was good. And it is insanely thin. Look at it. That is 0.71 inches. Here's a shot of it next to the old guy. It's like,
shocking.
It's like me and Rob.
No.
Yeah, it's only 0.71 inches thick, like we said. The ports have been completely updated as well, so you're going to get USB 3.0 now, as well as HDMI out and an SD card slot. That's not all, folks. Turn it around. No optical drive, because we don't need those anymore. And two Thunderbolt ports and a USB 3.0, as well as a new MagSafe port. The MagSafe port now is thinner, which means if you have a bunch of extra adapters, Apple is forcing you to spend even more money. But I think, hands down, this is one of the best design notebooks we have seen.
Now, let's talk about this Retina display.
Yeah.
We've seen it on the iPad and the iPhone, and now it's on a MacBook Pro with 2800 by 1880 resolution. How'd you like the screen?
That sounds like a buddy cop movie. The guy's from 2800, he's from the future. Another guy's from 1880, and it is fun. Anyway, the screen is stunning. The text on this really looks like you're reading bright paper. Here's a side-by-side comparison. Look at the garbage on the other side there. I had no idea. It should. Vomit. I dare you. We'll go viral. Puke on this, and we'll go viral.
All right.
Did you see I take a show? He puked on a new laptop. Give it to me.
I was nervous, so I didn't eat before, so there's nothing to puke.
Oh.
It would just be stomach acids that would eat it.
And it's very good with stomach acid. 2800 by 1880 is the resolution. It is leaps and bounds better than what we've seen from previous laptops that have come out this year. I also really like the new display. It has a bunch of different settings. So you can increase the size of the text and still make it sharp. So it's not going to be, like when you blow up text and it's all pixely and stuff, it's not going to do that on the Retina display because it's fancy-like.
Now, Apple also upgraded under the hood with Intel's latest processor, Ivy Bridge.
Yes.
Which, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't that the name of the show choir you were in high school?
Yes.
Ivy Bridge?
Ivy Bridge, and we opened up for Hootie and the Blowfish on the Fairweather Johnson tour.
I have some of the bootleg. So, how was the speed?
It was actually very, very noticeably faster than the last MacBook Pro. The new Ivy Bridge processor is a ridiculous name, but it's also the big reason that this thing is faster, as well as the solid-state drive that's in here. That is now standard on all models, everybody. We knew it would happen eventually. Look at this thing boot up in 12 seconds.
I heard you boot up in 12 seconds.
Well, you've heard right, because that's true. My erections are fast.
Oh, wow.
Listen, this is a significant increase over the speed of the last one, and this is because there's no more spinning hard drive, so there's no more moving parts. On the downside, the solid-state drive that comes in this guy is only 256 gigs for $2,200. That is dumb. That's my opinion on it. It's dumb. The speed bump isn't just during boot, though. It's across the board. Everything's faster. Apple has switched the graphics processor on this. Now you're getting an NVIDIA GPU that is much better for gaming. 1 gigabyte of GPU memory is now standard on all models. We did it.
All right. Now, if I understand correctly, the graphics processor is where a lot of the heat on laptops comes from. How hot does this thing get?
Rob, you know what you're talking about. That's exactly where the heat comes from.
Heat's my specialty.
I'm feeling it. Look at him. Jesus. Okay. I did it again. Yeah, the heat has been an issue on all of the MacBook Pro models before. Everyone complains about it burning your lap. In fact, they had to change it to a portable computer because they didn't want it on your lap. But Apple has improved the thermal cooling system. Take a look at the fancy graphic. You see, air is blue, and then it is made yellow, and then it comes out red.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's a new cooling system they've designed just for this machine, and it was very important to them. It's an asymmetrical blade, so it evenly distributes the air, but it also makes the fan noise much, much less.
Now, the asymmetrical blades, that was the show choir you were in college.
Whoa,
Is that right?
I like that graphic. Yeah, Asymmetrical Blades was, in fact, the band I was in college. That was after Ivy Bridge broke up. A couple of us went off and did this. The computer still gets hot, but it is a lot better than previous models. So I say, hey.
What kind of battery life should we expect?
Not a bunch.
Okay.
Now, Apple says you're going to get 7 hours of battery life, but again, that is in a very controlled setting where your brightness is maybe at nothing, and you're using a flashlight to see what's on the screen, and the Wi-Fi's off. If you're going to use it for real, you're going to get about 5 hours. And that's with the display around 75% of brightness with a bunch of apps open. Apple plugged a ton of new tech into this for the battery, and the new model, I have to say, it doesn't disappoint, especially for how light it is and how big the battery is.
Right on. So you can get the new MacBook Pro with Retina display starting at $2,200 American dollars. What's the verdict?
We are giving this a 4 out of 5.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of the best designed notebooks out there right now. Apple made it much thinner and lighter without sacrificing important ports, and the display is stunning and probably a pretty good reason to upgrade. But that being said, if it wasn't so expensive, it would be a 5 out of 5. I really feel like $2,200 for a machine that only has 256 gigs of storage is stupid. So get the $27.99 model. It's actually a better value. You're going to get a bigger hard drive, faster processor.
Right on.
Josh Flaum again. Coming up, Danica McKellar visits the AOTS studios to discuss Young Justice, her new book, and the Sci-Fi Channel's Tasmanian Devils.
All summer long, join us as we welcome guest hosts like the Nerdists Chris Hardwick and comedians Michael Ian Black, Baratunde Thurston, Mark Maron, Paul Scheer, and Mo Mandel. It's Attack of the Show every weeknight at 7, 6 Central, right here on G4.
A delightful place to see mud monsters attack teenagers, because that's a really underserved fetish demographic.
It's also a great place to see our next guest, Winnie Cooper, play a Martian.
Please welcome Danica McKellar. Hello there.
Hello.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure.
Now, you've got some pretty interesting powers as Miss Martian.
Yes.
You
yeah,
wanna tell us about them?
I can read minds. I can move things with my brain. I can talk to you inside your head like this. Okay, don't tell anybody.
I'm married.
Anyway, yeah, I know. So it's fascinating. She can shapeshift.
wow.
She can turn into anything. It's really cool to have those kind of powers.
Like an ox? Could you turn into an ox?
Yeah, totally.
Could you turn into like a chicken sandwich?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's about like everything.
Yeah, everything, anything. Yeah.
That's so awesome.
A chicken sandwich that can levitate. So I can levitate, I can fly. Yeah.
I just blew my
They
mind.
haven't done that yet, but I'm going to suggest it.
That could be a whole season.
Yeah.
If you could have superpowers of your own, what would they be?
I mean, definitely one of hers, because she's so cool. I think being invisible, I think that'd be cool. I'd just like to know what people are saying about me behind my back. You know, I mean, I've thought about other superpowers, and I take this question too seriously. I get asked all the time for some reason. I was like, well, if I had this, then I couldn't pick that. But this is a good one.
Yeah, that would be cool. I'd make it so I only had to go to the bathroom like once a year.
Yeah?
Because then I could just do more stuff.
Yeah, right, good, good.
Now, you also have super math powers in real life. You've written 3 best-selling books and just finished a 4th. Now, math makes my head hurt. Can you...
There it is. Okay, that's the cover of the book, and apparently this book is also part of the cooling system of the new MacBook Pro.
Right on.
Notice that. Yeah, it's...
Yes! When we showed, just so you know what we're talking about, when they showed the graphic earlier on the MacBook, it was her book that was on there.
In the cooling system, which is a really important part of
exactly.
the new
So
product.
if you don't download a PDF or a GIF or a Who's a Badingo of her book, your computer could overheat and explode.
Yeah, it's really... So pre-order now. No, so that's my geometry book. Comes out in August.
That's so great.
Yeah.
Because I'm one of those people, when I was like 12, I had a teacher tell me, she was just like, you're bad at math. And I was like, okay. And to this day, I'm 35, and I'm like, no, I'm not good at math.
No, that's what happens. Math is a foreign language. It's all about the presentation. And if you have a bad teacher or a teacher who's discouraging or just not clear when they're explaining it, then you end up believing that. And it's such, I mean, this is what I do in my books. I make math easy and fun to understand. Random things that are really hard, like learning massive formulas. I break it down. I make little stories out of them. So I make them fun. Like, okay, the quadratic formula, right? X equals. Some of you guys know this, I'm sure. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Right? Okay. Yeah. And so I tell a story about a girl named Betty who's in a really bad mood, and so it starts off negative b, and then plus or minus. She can't decide if she wants to go into the radical new story, which is the radical symbol. And the story continues. And I do that kind of stuff in all my books because I just think it makes it fun and not so intimidating.
That's so great.
Less mathy, actually.
Is it weird that I'm going to cry? Because I feel like I feel like you're healing me right now. That's so great. So, now, the cover also promises tips on how to attract guys. How does math help with that?
Well, here's the thing. My books they all teach math, but they're geared towards girls, and to help it not be so scary. But I also teach other life things like self-esteem boosters, et cetera, especially in the new book. I have a whole section on self-esteem boosting. But in terms of what these books do for girls and guys, attracting guys, it's about confidence.
Yeah.
Studying something like math and getting good at it gives you a certain kind of confidence that comes from feeling smart and capable and kick-ass, and especially getting good at something that most people say is just for guys and not for girls. Like, no, I can do this. And that kind of like, can-do spirit and just happy confidence that, comes from within, that makes a big difference. I think confidence is the most attractive thing in guys and girls.
I totally agree. Yes, when I see a woman like at the airport wearing silly high heels, I'm like, I know you're not comfortable, and then I don't go up and ask for her phone number. But if she has if she has sensible flats on, then I'm like, yeah.
No, but if she's confident
exactly.
in those heels.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
Then I think it's okay.
I hadn't looked down at your feet because your eyes are so entrancing.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
So,
you're married.
Oh, right. Oh, this is a prop. I was kidding. Okay. Now, how would I do at the body image quiz in the book?
Yeah. Okay. So the book is called Girls Get Curves. Geometry Takes Shape, because it's all about shapes, and
I like it already.
One of the themes is shapes, and so. Body image is a huge thing for teenage girls, and so there is, yes, a quiz in there about body image. And I'm not sure, but let me ask you one of the sample questions, I guess.
Okay.
If you look yourself in the mirror, do you stop and go, oh no, I don't want to look at that, and keep walking? Does seeing your reflection make you just sort of stand up a little straighter, or do you look at yourself and go, damn, I'm looking good.
It's a melange of all three. Certain parts, I'll be like, damn, and then other parts I'll be like, oh, I wonder if that could be surgically removed in a painless fashion. But I'm afraid of surgery, so yeah, it's a mixture of like, wow, and.
Yeah, so that's how you do on the quiz. Sort of a mixture.
Oh, okay. Hey, mixed bag.
It's kind of meant for girls. The quiz is sort of.
And women kind of like fixer-uppers, right? So.
Right.
I don't know. I speak for all women. No. So the new book comes out in August, and what else do you have coming up?
I did a Sci-Fi Channel movie, actually.
Oh, cool.
It's going to be really fun. It's called Tasmanian Devils, and it comes out, I think, this fall. They don't have a firm air date yet, but that was really fun. We did that up in Vancouver.
Oh, wow.
And I will say, we shot it in Vancouver, and I wore a tank top most of the time.
Sure.
And can I just say that it snows in Vancouver?
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Was it like a fur-lined tank top?
No, but the wardrobe woman was my best friend. So, like, in between takes, she'd, like, put this woolly coat over me and, you know, an umbrella. It was just freezing.
Yeah,
but I was good at not looking cold.
I believe it. That's the real acting skill. Like a Shakespearean monologue, that's no biggie. Looking warm when you're freezing,
yeah, temperature,
that's a real skill.
Temperature, that's the advanced.
And to like peel back the curtain of Hollywood a little bit, you'll be on a thing totally where you're like wearing roughly nothing, and then the wardrobe people and the PAs and everything will be wearing like parkas.
Oh yeah,
and you're like,
yeah. If you took a picture of the set, like everyone else is bundled up.
Yeah, it's like Tom Cruise doesn't get paid for the acting that he does. He gets paid to wear like nothing and a bikini bottom in winter.
Right. Yeah. What movie is that?
It's Winter Bottom Bikini Blast, starring Stacey Jacks. Is that what his new thing is?
Yeah.
That rolled right off the tip of my tongue. Okay. Well, anyway, listen, it's been so wonderful to speak with you. Thank you very much. Please, everybody, thank Danica McKellar for coming on the show.
America's favorite obstacle course is back.
See if you can get up the warp.
I'm not sure if you were aware, but the world's most difficult obstacle course is here in the U.S., and it isn't a dress barn sale on Black Friday. Nope, that's right. It's American Ninja Warrior. And there's an all-new episode on Sunday night at 9 p.m. on G4. For more information, visit facebook.com/Ninja Warrior.
Hey, Josh again. Still ahead, Chris Gore tells us all about his VDs.
Operating system for the Windows Phone, but also took the sheath off their very own tablet device, aka the Surface. Microsoft ran their no-huddle offense and threw a Hail Mary on Monday when they gave the world a first look at the 10.6-inch Windows 8 base device. It's a bold move for the company and signals the beginning of what some are calling Microsoft's post-Gates era. Later in the week, though, they reminded folks that Redmond hadn't forgotten about the Windows Phone because, well, everyone else had. The new OS supports near-field communication and lots of features meant to catch up with the competition, Apple. Either way, more power to you, Microsoft. We've been waiting for Ballmer to show some balls. Figuratively, I mean. Whatever, you know what I meant. Meanwhile, as if we didn't already have enough concerns about becoming a society that would make Orwell do a spit take, this week, the National Reconnaissance Office launched a brand spanking new spy satellites. Yay? I don't know. The so-called critical national security launch was broadcast live on the web, but the video feed was cut off a few minutes after the launch due to the classified nature of its mission. This came only days after a similar mission, the autonomous X-37B, landed after 469 days orbiting the Earth in secret. So, here we are, in 2012, a fleet of autonomous drones, satellites, and spacecrafts constantly running spy missions all over the planet. Gee, I'd really hate to be the enemy of Skynet. I mean, the US of A. If you've ever felt that your home improvement projects are lacking that gangsta flavor, worry not, because there's now a Glock drill. A couple of gun enthusiasts in South Carolina put together this mod of a DeWalt grill that looks just like a Model 21 Glock. While it might not be functional, my guess is that someone will run with this idea and make it into reality in no time, and forever change the face of home improvement and gang warfare. And finally, recently, I've really felt like my life's been experiencing a significant lack of Liam Neeson kicking people's asses. So, thank the heavens, there's Taken 2, the follow-up to the intense 2008 revenge flick. Now let's take a moment to play Hollywood Pitch Room. Okay, so we've got Liam Neeson. His family's been kidnapped. Again. So he finds the people responsible and makes them pay by making the transaction with his fists. Sold. Taken to its theaters October 5th. I am Sarah Underwood, and you've just been fed. And now, if you need to unwind with some DVDs, Chris Gore can help you out.
Welcome back, film expert Chris Gore. Hey, Chris.
Hey.
Nice to have
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Yeah.
All right. What do we have first?
Wanderlust.
Whoa, there are a lot of really funny people in this film.
Okay, yeah, Ken Marino, David Wayne of Wayne Days. So a lot of people from the state. And of course, Paul Rudd and Jennifer Aniston. Jennifer Aniston, if you like her.
Funny people.
Yes, yeah. So this is a story about this couple that kind of they try to make it in the big city, but they fail miserably. So they end up at this bed and breakfast populated by a bunch of free-loving hippies.
Yeah. Did you think it was funny?
I thought it definitely was funny. I mean, you know, on the plus side, you got Paul Rudd. On the downside, I'm not a big Jennifer Aniston fan, but Malin Ackerman's in it.
And I'm sure you love her.
A lot of drugs, too. They do a lot of drugs in this. Another possible downside, a whole lot of full frontal male nudity.
Oh, I know. It was just horrible.
It was horrible, and I felt a little uncomfortable till I found out that was a prosthetic the whole time. There's a whole behind the scenes on Joe Trulio's prosthetic. Nah.
Well, I really enjoyed the film.
Oh, you did? Yeah,
I did.
I did as well. I thought it was a lot of fun. And just like, you can never go wrong with Paul Rudd.
No.
He's a guy you just don't know what's going to happen. I think he's hysterical. And just sort of thrown into this situation with these hippies. You love them at first, but they do get annoying. They do get annoying, these hippies.
They do.
Yeah, after a while. Bottom line, I will tell you, it's worth the rent. It's definitely.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree too.
was going to say Rent.
Yeah.
All right.
Really good time.
What's our next DVD?
The FP.
Now, this film is about dancing games in a post-apocalyptic world?
Yes, exactly.
I'm confused.
It's
Explain,
about
please.
these people. It's sort of a suburban wasteland that's populated by these rival gangs that fight in BBR, which is Beat Beat Revelation.
Oh.
So it's this game that they play, and one of the characters, his brother, dies playing BBR. And
What
it's
happens
up
to
to
him with his eye right there? Does he have
He's
his
got an eye
poked
patch.
out?
He's got an eye patch.
Oh,
He's got an eye
that's
patch.
all?
It's a cool thing. You should
okay.
start wearing an eye patch.
Oh, no.
They are trendy these days.
Nah, I don't know.
But he's got to come back a year later and sort of take the throne away from this rival gang. And the lead villain in this is so funny. He does competitive vomiting. Which it's
What does that mean?
It's something that I learned on the commentary that actually these guys would do just to be so competitive. They'd take bets on who could throw up first in parking lots. It's a real thing.
That is so bizarre to me. I don't understand why anyone would want to throw up.
I thought that too. And saying it's bizarre, it's pretty bizarre.
Exactly.
It's really bizarre.
Okay, so what's the bottom line?
Bottom line is rent it. It's really worth seeing. Really cool
Like,
indie.
would I like it?
Very creative. You would not like it.
Okay, so I won't rent it, but y'all should rent it.
Rent for everyone else. Pass
okay,
for her.
done. What else do you have to check out?
We have Superman versus the Elite.
Now, what's the latest animated film about DC from?
Okay, well, this thing is about this group called the Elite that comes in, and it's really about that.
Yeah?
It's going to be like coming from Zack Snyder and producers Christopher Nolan. I cannot wait for that.
Okay. So bottom line?
Bottom line, it's a buy for me, especially because loaded with extras, including a preview of The Dark Knight Returns. Frank Miller's 4-issue comic book series is coming as a 2-part cartoon on DVD. And
Awesome. 2 rents and a buy. Now we have a little bit of time for a quick break.
Yes, let's do it. It's Louis, which if you've been watching this show, Louis C.K., he's one of my all-time favorites. He's like a modern-day Woody Allen, but he would not date his stepdaughter or marry her even. He would not marry his stepdaughter. That's
a good thing. Thanks, Chris. For more Gore, check out his podcast on iTunes.
Hey, Josh again. Coming up, Weston Scott heads to International Studio Services to discuss firing blanks. Gross. Oh, wait, I get it. They're talking about guns. Awesome! Stay tuned.
On the next Attack of the Show, we welcome back guest host, the Nerdist himself, Chris Hardwick. He'll sit down with actor Donald Faison, who's here with his TV land show X's. Also, Matt Myra rates the new Samsung Series 5 Chromebook in Gadget Prime. Then Chris Gore checks out new Blu-ray releases, including 21 Jump Street and Wrath of the Titans. And Tiffany Smith gets cuddly with the cast of Ted, including Mark Wahlberg and Seth MacFarlane. Coming up next week on AOTS.
Weston Scott is an international man of mystery.
And now he's getting his hands on the summer's biggest guns.
Say what now?
What?
When Hollywood wants to go out with a bang, they go to the one-stop shop for everything that goes boom. That's ISS, Independent Studio Services, one of the world's largest suppliers of props and movie guns. The Avengers. This is certain femme fatale's weapon.
Absolutely. You know, that's a little bit of a smaller handgun, so you usually carry them in pairs. It's the latest generation of weaponry from Glock. It's lightweight polymer, rust resistant, very, very dependable. Most of the law enforcement world has gone to it, and since SHIELD is a global law enforcement agency, it's logical that that would be the type of weapon that they would use. Nick Fury, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., has to put the hammer down on some bad guys that are escaping from his hover platform, and so he has to reach for something like this. This is the Airtronics USA RPG. It's a basic RPG design that's been updated here in the United States. You can see different rail systems on it, different shoulder stock systems on it, all those things that, again, it's recognizable as an RPG, but it's just that little bit of difference that makes it that wow factor for the movies.
Expendables 2. A lot of action, a lot of weapons.
That is the AA-12. It is the most modern outgrowth of the original Atchison automatic shotgun. This dates back to the 70s, really. It's fairly lightweight. It's got slow rate of fire, so the recoil doesn't overpower it.
This is a grenade launcher, correct?
Absolutely. It's the Milcor M32. The United States Marine Corps has used them extensively in Iraq and Afghanistan. It is one of the more modern extensions of the grenade launcher. If you think of the M203, which was a single barrel weapon slung under an M16 in Vietnam, now you have a multiple round weapon.
So you may have seen this weapon in the movie Battleship. Rihanna gets behind it and lays down some heavy fire. Larry, what do we have here?
Well, we have the M134G minigun. The original gun that this was based off of is a 20-millimeter cannon that goes up inside of an aircraft that's about 3 times larger than this. So when they designed it and scaled it down, it became the minigun. This is an original GE receiver that's been upgraded by Garwood Industries to the most modern, advanced state of the minigun right now. You would see this in the Navy, in the Air Force, in the Special Forces, exactly in this configuration.
And Larry, because this is a manual, this can be fired just like a regular weapon. All you gotta do is flip the switch, put in your blanks, and let it rip, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that'll cause damage. So Larry, take me through some of the blanking process. What are the procedures that we go through with the actual rounds to make them safe?
If this, let's say, is a real cartridge and it's in a weapon system where it's going to build up pressure behind this projectile and finally shoot the projectile downrange, well, we're dealing with blanks, and you can see there is no projectile there. We have to come up with some means of duplicating the effects that the projectile would have as far as the mechanism goes without having the effects of the projectile downrange. We have 4 people who work in our shop as full-time gunsmiths, and they spend every day and sometimes weekends coming up with different ways to make these weapons work on blanks.
ISS has been awesome enough to let me fire the AA-12, which is used by Terry Crews in Expendables 1 and 2. Weapons hot?
Yeah, there's a little bit of kickback on that, I would say.
So this is why it is so important to be safe and have the professionals around like the guys from ISS. Even though we weren't shooting real shells, the shotgun wads and some of the gunpowder and everything like that, it left this damage at 10 feet in a piece of cardboard. Kids, this is definitely something you're not going to want to play with at home.
Thanks to all our guests, Chris Gore, Weston Scott, and how could we forget Matt Myra?
And thanks to Rob Delaney for hosting me on